What the Treasury Department calls decisive action as another bank failed.
Deposits and assets of First Republic Bank were sold to J.P. Morgan Chase in a move President Biden says will ensure the banking system is safe and sound.
And ensure that all depositors are protected and the taxpayers are not on the hook.
First Republic is the second largest bank failure in U.S. history and the third mid-sized bank to need federal intervention in less than 2 months.
We have to make sure that we're not back in this position again. And I think we're well on our way to be able to make that assurance.
The president says he's calling on Congress to pass more rules giving regulators more supervision of large and regional banks.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. The First Republic failure didn't appear to rattle Wall Street, but stocks fluctuated. The Dow finishing down 47 points. The president's son, Hunter, goes to court asking to reduce monthly payments to the mother of his 4-year-old daughter.
Biden appeared in person in court in Batesville, Arkansas, where his attorney, Abby Lowell, said he had been paying $20,000 a month in child support to London Roberts, a previously undisclosed figure.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers, Biden's lawyers say he's paid $750,000 in child support so far. This as a federal probe of his finances continues. Secretary of State Antony Blinken denies involvement in a letter from former intelligence officials suggesting that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. Blinken telling Fox's Benjamin Hall.
It wasn't my idea, didn't ask for it, didn't solicit it, and I think the testimony that the former Deputy Director of the CIA, Mike Morell, put forward confirms that.
That interview airs tonight during Special Report, 2 hours from now on Fox News Channel. America is listening to Fox News.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-350-6946 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-350-6946. That's 800-350-6946. What do you have to lose? Call 800-350-6946. Again, 800-350-6946.
And now former preschool teacher is arrested in California on suspicion of murder.
The Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office says 22-year-old Diana Ornelas, a teacher at Children's Center of the Stanford community, was arrested in connection to the fatal shooting of 24-year-old Oliver Waterfall. Ornelas taken into custody during the preschool's nap time. Reps for the school say children were not present when this occurred and that Ornelas is no longer employed there. Officials say 27-year-old Dennis Navoa was also arrested in connection to the murder, explaining they believe the motive is of a personal nature and that the two knew the victim, whose body was found off a highway nearly 3 weeks ago.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. A manhunt continues for the man accused of killing 5 people, including a young boy, in a neighbor's house after being asked to stop firing a gun in his yard late Friday night in Cleveland, Texas, near Houston. Federal agents say the suspect is a Mexican national who's in the U.S. illegally and has been deported multiple times. An apology in court from a former Wisconsin student who attacked his high school's police officer with a barbecue fork in 2019. He's now 20 years old and sentenced today to 17 years in prison. Recent controversy appears to be costly for one beer company.
Bud Light has been dealing with the fallout from a social media promotion for its Bud Light beer featuring Dylan Mulvaney, a transgender influencer. The controversy over Mulvaney's promotion of the product is hurting Bud Light's off-premise sales volume. That's the amount of beer sold outside of restaurants and bars. According to trade publication Beer Business Daily, sales fell over 26% from a year earlier in the week ending April the 22nd. The figures include sales at grocery, convenience, and liquor stores.
Fox's Hillary Barsky recapping Wall Street. May starts with a lower finish. The Dow down 46 points. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Hello again, everyone. Let's check weather for Eastern Illinois, Champaign, Urbana, vicinity. Welcome to May, and it is anything but a May feel for the next couple of days as unseasonably chilly weather continues to grip the area. Some moderation begins the middle part of the weekend. May see the tide turn to at least more seasonal temperatures and even a warm-up slated over the back end of the weekend into the weekend, too, and some dry weather opportunities as well. Otherwise, a couple of showers break out as the day wears on. For the day today, that west wind could hit 40 miles per hour in open areas the day wears on. A cold high of 52. A couple of sprinkles around early on tonight, mostly cloudy, windy down to 42. Tomorrow, breezy, chilly, fair amount of cloudiness and a couple of afternoon sprinkles as well. Highs up to about 55 on a northwest wind. Clearing off, patchy frost tomorrow night, low down to 34. Sunny, milder for the day on Wednesday. Temperatures still a few degrees below average, though. Lighter wind, the high up to 63. Could be an isolated shower Thursday afternoon at 68. Maybe a sprinkle early on Friday, the high up near 70 and into the 70s for the weekend. For Stevie J Broadcasting, I'm meteorologist Greg Soldier.
It's showtime.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Pipes is writing down a lot of stuff. I'm just going to go from the gut. And joining us now, Coach Bielema.
Josh Whitman joining us now.
You get to say all the cool name drops.
Do it.
Brad Underwood, our guest.
College hoops.
How do you lose to Jackson State?
Call up every single person in the media that didn't put Kofi first team All-American. And I don't know, just play like clown noises.
I want to bet the Bears.
Oh, Michael Porter Jr. has been good, but he thinks the earth is flat, so I can't pick him.
Oh, boy.
Throw it up to Kofi, and he's just going to tear the rim off.
How is he so good? All right, Hans, I'm going to mute you for a while.
Okay.
Oh, there's a timeout on the court!
So what we want to do is build a same-game parlay that will win all of us some money.
Maybe Rondale Moore could be Cooper Kupp, but he's not. Is it Instagram?
Yeah.
Is that what IG means?
I think you have to win the Big Ten title to win Big Ten Player of the Year.
Woohoo!
Wow, what a bad take.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5, The Drive with Tay and Piper. I am Lon Tay. No Derek Piper this week. Cade turned one and then took his first vacation, I believe. They are having some fun, he and Pipes and his wife Haley and their son. So no Pipes this week, but Kyle Tosca's here. Kyle, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well.
You and I and Stevie were just laughing about how bad the Cardinals were, and then you were like, well...
It was an 0-6 weekend for our two baseball teams.
And the White Sox finally stopped a 10-game losing streak, I believe. Is that right?
They did, by coming back from down 4 runs in the 9th inning.
Oh, my goodness. So you're talking about the White Sox Cardinals are just brutally bad. At least the Cubs, until this weekend, were halfway decent. And then they get swept by the Marlins. It's just bad baseball right now going on in our area. So that's not good. Not good at all. I just looked up, and ESPN is showing some of the draft picks in the NFL draft, and there's a picture of Devin Witherspoon, of course, the 5th overall pick. That was pretty cool that he was taken. And, of course, all 4 of the guys that we thought would be drafted were drafted, and that, of course, would be Devin Witherspoon. Quan Martin went next. I forget where Quan went.
Washington, D.C., Commanders.
Okay, went to the Commanders. Then you had Sidney Brown go to Philadelphia.
That's right.
Who kicked butt in this draft.
They did.
And then you had Chase Brown go to the Cincinnati Bengals. So you're talking, let's look through these. Now, the Commanders aren't good. They're not going to be very good. So that's, Quan's not going to a winner there. Witherspoon is going to Seattle. Who knows?
They were a playoff team last year.
I was going to say, and, you know, Geno Smith had an unbelievable season. I don't know that he can do that again. Maybe he can, but Seattle in that West Division, I think, has a chance to get to the playoffs again. And then you look at Chase Brown going to Cincinnati. I mean, that could be a Super Bowl contender.
And to that point, I look at the Bengals depth chart, and you obviously have Joe Mixon there in Cincinnati. But beyond him,
that's it.
They don't have much. They got Travion Williams, not the former Purdue big man, a running back, and Chris Evans. I can't say I know much about either of those two.
Okay.
I think Chase Brown's got a chance to really see the field.
That would be awesome, and I can guarantee you that Sidney Brown will be on the field at least in special teams. If he's not, playing safety for the Philadelphia Eagles. But obviously the Eagles were a Super Bowl team. Cincinnati, a team that could possibly go to the Super Bowl. So be fun. It was cool to see some of the Illini players being drafted. It's been a while for that. Where did other Illinois guys go? I assumed you were ready for that.
Yes. So Calvin Avery signed with the Vikings.
Okay.
Isaac Darkangelo back to his home state of Michigan with the Detroit Lions.
Oh, okay. He was a leading tackler last year, right, for Illinois.
Tommy DeVito signed by the New York Giants. He's heading back to Jersey. Alex Palczewski with the Broncos. Alex Pihlstrom signs with the New Orleans Saints.
Okay.
Kendall Smith signs with the Washington Commanders. He'll join Quan Martin there. And then Luke Ford gets a rookie minicamp invite with the New York Jets, and Jamal Woods gets a rookie minicamp invite with the Indianapolis Colts.
Okay, so a lot of guys getting a chance to at least show their stuff to some NFL teams. You know, a guy like Fred Wakefield back in the day, he was a free agent and signed with the Cardinals then and ended up parlaying that into a 7-year career in the NFL, both with the Cardinals and Raiders. So while these guys weren't drafted, sometimes, and I remember talking to Fred about that, sometimes it's almost better they're not drafted and then can go to a team that they feel like there's a better option of going to and sticking. Right. So that'll be the cool thing. And, of course, always really neat to have Spoon go 5 overall and see that Illinois name splashed upon there. I could tell the awkwardness. I know Jeremy Werner did a great job. By the way, Joey Wagner is going to join us tomorrow. Joey Wagner was with Devin Witherspoon down in Kansas City. But Jeremy Werner did a great job with the Brown twins in Canada, and he was up with them. And it's awkward, and you knew going in, and we said it Friday, just because of the position that they play, you knew that Sydney was probably going to be drafted ahead of Chase. And what was it? Sydney was 3rd round and Chase was 5th. So the wait then for Chase, who a lot of people thought would be maybe even 3rd round, but more likely 4th round, he ends up going 5th. That awkward wait, has got to be tough. And I'm sure even for Sidney Brown, who is excited that he gets drafted, and then all of a sudden he has to sit there and wait another day and then wait another round for his brother to get drafted. So I'm sure that could bring some awkwardness to the room, but certainly awesome that both of them get drafted. And what a luxury those two were for Illinois football. I mean, that was incredible. All right, Chicago Bears. We're going to visit with Aaron Leming next hour at 4:05. We're going to go through some of the Bears picks. Of course, they drafted 10th overall after trading out of the number 1 spot, and they get Darnell Wright, the right tackle from Tennessee. We talked about that a little bit on Friday. They then get a Gervon Dexter, defensive tackle from Florida, in the 2nd round. They had a lot of picks then right together almost. They had 53 with Gervon Dexter. 56, they go Tyreek Stevenson, the cornerback out of Miami. And then at 64, Zach Pickens, another defensive tackle out of South Carolina. So they really went heavy there. Obviously, 3 of their first 4 picks on that either offensive line or defensive line. And that's certainly something that any Bears fan would tell you that that's what they needed to do. I've read some really good things about Roschon Johnson, the running back from Texas, that they got number 115 overall. I've heard some good things about him, that he could come in. I know Pipes was talking about how he'd love to have Chase Brown, who would have room in that Bears locker room to be playing maybe. So they don't get Chase, obviously. They opt for Roschon Johnson, but it sounds like a kid that he went to Texas as a quarterback, ended up as a running back. Sounds like somebody that's got some talent, though, that could help the Bears in the future.
Yeah, for sure. And I think similar things I've heard about Tyler Scott, the wide receiver out of Cincinnati that they drafted. I heard some good things about him, and even Noah Sewell, the linebacker out of Oregon, who they took on day 3, I believe is Penei Sewell's brother.
Okay.
And
I knew I'd seen that Sewell name, and I couldn't remember. Yeah.
He was really, really productive at Oregon as an inside linebacker. So I think the Bears did pretty well here. Obviously, once they got the right tackle in the first round, they passed up Jalen Carter. Next, you were, as a Bears fan, you were hoping to see them shore up that defensive line, which is just really in need of some talent. They go with 2 of their next 3 picks with Dexter and Pickens and add to that. They didn't really get an edge rusher, a pass rusher at all. That's something they still probably need to look for, and we can ask Aaron about that next hour. But I think they did pretty darn well.
I totally agree with you. 217 said Mixon's on the downhill with injuries. This is the perfect spot for Chase. Lots of playing time, I believe, paired with a great QB. My Philly fans who hate everyone love the Sydney pick. So there you go. Even Philly fans who booed Santa. If they like Sydney, then we got something going there. Again, more on the draft as we go along through the show. We've got to also talk about a couple of things, and I'll start with this because Benny texted on the U of I Atlanta Lake text line and said, "Hey, Lon and Kyle, I want to send my condolences to Mike Shannon's family. The Cardinals will never be the same without Mike Shannon. R.I.P. Mike." Of course, Mike Shannon, 83 years old, passed away over the weekend. He is the third member of a team. I think his last, in the 60s, they went to 3 World Series and he won 2 of them. But Dick Groat died on Thursday. Mike Shannon this weekend, and of course Tim McCarver had passed away earlier this year or late last year. I can't remember which, but Mike Shannon, I was telling you some interesting things about Mike Shannon. I read a story today that they consider him possibly to be the best athlete that's ever come out of the city of St. Louis. And you say something like that, and it's like, whoa, that's kind of heavy. But in the article I read that Mike Shannon in the city of St. Louis was named the football and basketball player of the year. And they don't think it's ever been done before that someone won both football and basketball player of the year in the city. Mike Shannon won both of those and then ended up playing Major League Baseball. So he won basketball, won football. He went to Missouri to play quarterback, and they think if he would have stuck around, he could have been a Heisman Trophy winner at Missouri. But then he signed with the Cardinals, ended up playing with the Cardinals for, I think, 9 years, won 2 World Series, went to 3, and then, of course, spent 50 years in the broadcast booth for the St. Louis Cardinals. And the story that I've always said with Mike Shannon is that between he and Jack Buck, as a 52-year-old guy now, for 50 years of my life, those two were my voice of St. Louis Cardinals baseball. And that's pretty amazing that only last season was the first time that either Buck or Shannon was not calling a Cardinals game on the radio when I was listening. And that's pretty incredible to have that your entire life. And, of course, most Cardinals fans around here would say the same thing with regards to those two. But Mike Shannon certainly was a likable guy, a very nice gentleman. I know I didn't really run into Mike Shannon very often. A couple of times I met Mike. The last time was when we were down. We started our show, November of 2010, and Stevie and 11 sent Jeremy and I down to spring training for 3 games, and I ran into Mike Shannon. Ironically, we were both going to be going to the restroom, and it was a one-seater or whatever, so we were both out in the hallway, and I just said, "Hey, Mr. Shannon, how are you?" And we talked a little bit. He asked about the radio show, and just a super nice guy, and just somebody that would be very fun to visit with and love to have fun. I guess, of course, he would go over to his restaurant, Mike Shannon's restaurant, which a lot of us ate at, and would do his show Saturday nights for a couple of hours. And you never knew which direction that was going because I'm guessing there were a few Bud Lights involved in that for sure. But Mike just was a guy that had a lot of fun and grew into a solid voice of the St. Louis Cardinals, definitely. And to see our buddy Mike Claiborne, I actually reached out to Claibs, and he didn't get back to me, but I was going to see if he could join us today to give some Mike Shannon stories. But I did read an article that Mike basically said that Mike Shannon, had as much to do with Mike Claiborne's career as anybody, which is pretty amazing because Claibs is really good and very versatile. And he just said that Mike Shannon kind of took him under his wing and kind of introduced him to a lot of people and made things happen for him. So I know a dear friend of Mike Claiborne's obviously is Mike Shannon, and heartbroken for Claibs for sure, but heartbroken for the Cardinals in general to lose a guy like Mike Shannon who just loved Cardinals baseball. There's no doubt about it. And I know as the years went on, he would take trips to Canada or other places to fish, and he'd take a couple of weeks off during the season so he could do that. But certainly someone that probably a lot of people would tell you probably stayed in the booth a little too long, and there was no doubt about that, but I think he wanted to get to that 50th year. And he did, and he got there. And it's pretty cool to know the kind of career he had both as a player and then also in the broadcast booth with the St. Louis Cardinals. So kind of a city son that loved St. Louis and embodied everything about the Cardinals and the city. So tough news there with that. All right, Kyle, the other thing I wanted to get at is how about our Illini golf squad? On both,
they're dominant.
Both teams. The women win the Big Ten. Crystal Wang, of course, ran away with that thing. Shot like, 13 under or something. And the next, I think second place was like 3 under. Is similar to that. And then, of course, the Illini men, it was a rain-shortened, of course, because our weather, it doesn't matter where you're at, our weather just sucks this year. Today, another day to show that. But it was out in New Jersey, and they basically canceled the third round. But Illinois comes away with, how much did they win by? 20?
17 strokes.
17 strokes.
Shot 8 under, 560 for the tournament as a team, winning by 17 strokes over second place Northwestern, who shot 9 over.
Goodness sakes. I mean, it is just, and this team has potential. This team has a lot of potential. I mean, Jackson Buchanan was leading the tournament when they...
Yeah, he got robbed. He was leading, then they canceled round 3, which voided all the scores, and so Iowa and Northwestern golfers shared the individual title. But Illinois had 4 guys who finished in the top 5.
Wow.
If you consider ties with Tommy Kuhl and Mathis Bassard, tied for third.
Matisse.
Tied for third at 2 under, and then Jackson Buchanan and Adrian Dumont de Chassart. Hopefully I got that one right.
I think you did nail that one.
Tied for 5th at 1 under.
That's incredible. I mean, the depth on this team is something that when they got Matisse Bassard from SIU, knowing how good of a golfer, he was, I think, the number 1 golfer in the Missouri Valley last year. When they picked him up, which meant 3 fifth-year seniors on this team, thanks to COVID, you've got Cool, oh boy. You say it.
Dumont de Chassart.
That's it. Him and then Matisse, those 3 are all fifth-year seniors. And then, of course, Jackson Buchanan has been someone that has just come out of nowhere as a sophomore and has been really good. And especially middle to late in the season, Buchanan's been on fire. You still have Pearson Hunt. There's another kid who was like the player of the year in Wisconsin, and he's someone that can legitimately shoot and finish top 10 in a tournament. So you've got literally 5 guys on this team that can shoot or that can play themselves into a top 10 of any tournament. And Illinois played some really solid tournaments this year and have won a lot of them. And even if they didn't win, they were in contention or finishing second, third, I think fourth one time. But I know early in the year I said this could be the year because they've got the depth. It always seemed like Mike Small's team would have 2 studs and then 2 studs to be that were younger, but not quite good enough to help lead a team to a national title. This year, I feel like you've got 3 or 4 studs and even Pearson Hunt, who has the ability to shoot low. So I just think this is the year that Illinois got a legit shot at that national title. And, man, it would be something, and, boy, would it be deserved for Mike Small, who I mentioned last week I think might be the best Illinois coach ever in any sport. I mean, I'd have to dive into that. I know that the gymnastics coach back in the day won national titles, and Justin Spring, he also won a title, I believe. And Illinois had some really good coaches in all sports, but Mike Small, with the degree of what he's done in a program that should not be this dominant as a northern school, it is amazing what he's done. And if he can capture that elusive national title, it'd be absolutely incredible. 217 says, I've got a softball game here in a bit. I feel your pain. 88-mile-an-hour wind for a softball game. Yeah, Andrew's over in Tolono tonight against Unity. So I'm sure, I don't know, I'm trying to look. I think the ball will be blowing out to left. So I'd hate to be the pitcher in this one. 217, Shannonisms are the best. I love when he said I'd give my left arm to be ambidextrous. I did never hear that one. That's awesome. Darren said, just getting on here, where did Chase Brown get drafted? Well, again, went to the Celtics. Celtics went to the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, Chase Brown is through a loop in everybody's plans. He's going to play NBA basketball. Speaking of the Celtics, that was a Freudian slip because they're going to hammer my Sixers tonight. 10-point favorites, and of course Joel Embiid's hurt. He's like 50%.
Everyone's hurt these playoffs, man. Me and Pipes were talking about that last week when you weren't here. Everybody's hurt.
Unbelievable. I actually sat down and watched 80% of an NBA game yesterday.
Was it Kings and Warriors?
Yes.
It's a good game.
It was a good game. And Steph went for what, 53?
Yes.
53. That guy didn't score for like the first 5 minutes of the game. I only know this because I may have made a little wager on a parlay build that I had, and I had him scoring 30. Well, he ends up scoring 53 or whatever, which is unbelievable. That guy is so fun to watch.
He's incredible.
I would watch him. He may be one of the more fun guys I've ever seen play basketball, and I know it's because the fact that he's just not dunking everything. It's the idea that he has these shots from the outside. You've got every team goes into it saying we've got to slow down Steph. They pick him up at half court, and yet he's still, even without screens, he still is able to get a shot off. And it is incredible what he did. We'll talk a little NBA. Back to a 217, Joe Buck said he learned baseball from Mike Shannon, said that today. He was like his second dad, I bet. I mean, he was around him, I'm sure, all the time. Daryl, if the wind's blowing 88 and the pitcher can throw 88-mile-an-hour fastball, does the ball come to a screeching halt the second it leaves his fingertips? That's a good question. Don't you be bringing physics and such on here, Daryl. I don't want to have to deal with that. But, yeah, that would be interesting, having to throw into the wind, which, if I have this correct, you will be tonight. And that won't be fun for any of those playing softball or baseball. Or I think at tennis, I saw a high school tennis, they just rescheduled. They're like, we're not playing in this thing. And I don't blame them.
As a former tennis
you
player,
were a tennis guy.
When it's windy, it's awful.
It's horrible.
You're playing your game and the ball's traveling 7 miles per hour. Yeah, you just can't aim anything. You basically just can't play. It's the worst.
It basically, if you're able to get it back over the net, you're 98% chance you're going to win the point.
Right.
I mean,
rallies are 2 shots if you're lucky.
And if you're going with the wind, then you sit there and hit your regular shot and it hits the fence in the air because you're like,
or it goes over.
Or it just goes over the fence. And then if you're going against the wind, you hit it as hard as you can, hoping that it at least gets to the net. It's crazy. Yeah. 651 said knuckleballs are always fun in a high wind. They move all over the place. I could understand that. Do we want to talk about going back to baseball again? I mean, how bad are the St. Louis Cardinals?
You tell me.
I mean, they're horrendous.
What's the biggest problem?
I don't know. That's the funny part.
At first, it seemed like it was starting pitching, but now I see them getting shut out. And
their defense has been horrible.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Guys are stealing bases all over Wilson Contreras. This is perfect example. I bet I have watched a cumulative total of 9 innings this year of Cardinals baseball. And a lot of that is because Andrew's got games, and then I just have found other things to do on the weekend. But I turned it on yesterday. I was like, I'm going to watch a little bit of Cardinals baseball. What the heck, take a nap kind of, day. And so I flip it on just in time to see Paul Goldschmidt ground into a double play. And I'm like, oh, my Lord. Then so I sit through that inning, goes to commercial, comes back. And then I don't know who it was for the Dodgers. It's a pop-up down the first base line. And it wasn't the easiest catch in the world, but Brendan Donovan just drops a fly ball. I mean, he's got his back to the plate. But I text my buddy in Decatur, and I'm like, I just turned the Cardinals on. And he and I had texted earlier in the day. I said, hey, I might actually watch a Cardinal game today. It's my buddy Bogle, and he's always funny. He's like, yeah, good luck with that. I'm like, I know. So I text him, and I said, okay, here's what happened. I turned the game on immediately to see a double play from Goldschmidt, and then Donovan dropped the ball. And so Bogle sends a thing back, and he goes, did you shut it off? I said, yeah, I'm back to watching the NBA. That's how bad it is. And I had 2 NHL Game 7s yesterday to watch, so I was fired up about that. But, it's just one of those where it's like, Man, I honestly, I don't know. I don't know what the biggest problem is. They're just bad. They're bad in all facets right now. And what's amazing is this is a team that had the most players in the World Baseball Classic. And so you could sit there and think, all right, the normal person would say, well, they ought to be hitting on all cylinders, right? Because they've been playing baseball basically longer than some of Major League Baseball teams and their players. But it's been completely the opposite. Like the Cardinals had all these guys in the World Baseball Classic, and they've all stunk since the season started. Arenado can't figure out how to hit. I don't know. He's handing bats away. Did you see this?
I didn't.
It was the one win they had against who did they play before the Dodgers?
Giants.
It was the one win they had against the Giants. Somebody is taking video down in the clubhouse, like as they're walking to the locker room from the dugout, and Miles Michaelis is like clapping. He's goofier than anything, but probably good for the team. But he's like sitting there in his shorts and a shirt, like going, yay, and he's giving them high fives. And you see Nolan Arenado walk up with 3 baseball bats, and he like gently, I mean, he wasn't going to hurt anybody, gently kind of just pushes him towards fans. Like, here, like these aren't working for me. You take them and see what you can do with them. So very generous of Nolan, but I think it was more of a, here, take these. This crap ain't working. I mean, he can't hit. I don't know. This whole team, it's just, once again, we have 5 outfielders, but we don't have one. And I've watched that story for 10 years. And then I flip on, MLB baseball, like MLB Network, and I'm watching Randy Arozarena drill another home run, and I'm 2, in fact, the other day, and I'm just like, okay, he'd be nice to have. It's just a team, Tommy Edmonds making errors. I don't know. I mean, when Paul DeJong all of a sudden is like your best player, or is let me say it this way: when Paul DeJong is playing better than anybody on the team, and this is a guy that essentially had to rework his swing and started the year because of injuries and the fact that he couldn't hit, started the year in AAA, and now he's come up and he's been your best hitter since he's gotten there. I don't know. Like, normally a team has an obvious, well, you need pitching or you need this. The Cardinals, just nothing is working. There's something weird going on. I mean, Mike Schilt gets shown the door. Oli Marmol walks in, and now, I don't know, he's not getting it done. John Mozeliak, the GM, he's president of baseball. Michael Gersh is the GM. I don't even know what he does. But Mozeliak decides not to help with the pitching. And now you've got a pitching staff that finally, all of a sudden, they're up to 6 quality starts through 1 month.
But then the offense can't give them any run support when that happens.
Shut out 1-0. 3, I think, of those quality starts are by the same pitcher, Jordan Montgomery, who you got last year in a trade, who wasn't even with you. I don't know. It is an absolute mess that's going on, and something needs to be done. And I don't know what you can do. I mean, they send Jordan Walker down to try to get his swing back kind of where they want it, even though the kid was hitting like 286. I don't know. Like, essentially, I don't think this will happen, but essentially you need to fire the manager. You need to do something to wake up somebody or get somebody out of what's going on right now. And look, has the schedule been pretty hard? Yeah, but aren't you supposed to be one of the best teams in baseball? I mean, the whole schedule has been tough. I get that, but don't come at me with that when you think you're one of the best teams in baseball. That shouldn't matter. And, there's still, I just read today, there's still a trip in the middle. And later this season, the Cardinals play, I think, the Red Sox, Yankees, and then they go to London, Ontario. London, Ontario. What is that? London, England, to face the Cubs.
Right.
And that's 3 supposedly home games for the Cardinals. So even that isn't working out. Even those 3 games, they don't get at home. They play the Cubs this coming week, don't they?
They sure do. Cubs didn't have the best weekend themselves.
No, they didn't.
Got swept by the Marlins. All 3 games were 1-run losses. Just frustrating. The Marlins, they said after yesterday's game, are 10-0 in 1-run games this year.
Are you serious?
So that's got to that luck's got to run out at some point. But,
well,
no, it was.
Now you hope it doesn't because you're done playing them, right?
Well, no, they play the Cubs Ironically enough, the Cubs play them this coming weekend at Wrigley Field. So time to get some revenge. But, yeah, just bad baseball all around this weekend. It wasn't very
ugly.
fun.
It was ugly. Wade says fire the manager, bring in Yachty. Scott says it's time for ownership to clean house, starting with Mo. I'm actually more in Scott's corner right now.
You've completely flipped.
And here's why. I almost feel like a move would be good for the franchise. It's almost as though you've had, and I think Mo's done a really good job with the Cardinals, and I'm not going to go on that tangent again. But it's almost like, okay, things are getting stale. We need new eyes looking at things, and maybe it is time. But I don't know how often you see a president of baseball operations get fired. maybe Michael Gersh. Maybe they fire him just to say we got to fire somebody, so we're firing our GM. But the problem, you don't see that during the season. Right. Now you could see a coach get fired during the season, but usually in the front office, you don't see that stuff until the off season when stuff is made and things are done. But I don't know. Yeah, he said, who's the manager of those Marlins again? Oh yeah, Skip Schumacher.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I at this point, I'd take Mark McGwire. I don't think he wants to be a manager. Hell, Matt Holliday, wasn't he going to be the hitting coach or something? It's just bad. It's just bad baseball. And I think Stevie said it this morning. You've got mad Cardinals fans, but that's good, right? You don't want apathy? Like you don't want it to get to the point like it almost is with me this year where I'm just like, I have no interest in watching them. And I usually love watching baseball, but they've won 10 games, Kyle, and they're 10 games out of first on May 1.
Yeah.
10 games. This is the worst start since 2007, I think. 1907, not 2007.
It's one of those situations where you want to tell yourself, it's still early, right?
We're good.
It's a long baseball season, 162 games, but when you're 10 and 19.
We could be 40 out.
And 10 out of first, and like you said, obviously I don't watch the Cardinals, but clearly there's just really bad baseball being played.
There's a disconnect
to an
somewhere.
Extent that doesn't seem relatively fixable. Then maybe it is time for them to make some type of move.
And this is so outside the box. This isn't what the Cardinals do.
Tell me about it.
I'm not saying they're the best team ever. I'm just saying, or best organization ever, but they never do this. They're always in contention. At least.
Oh, yeah.
And to come out and play like you're the worst team in baseball, essentially. And it's mind-boggling.
They got some competition when the Oakland Athletics are still out there.
Well, at least Oakland can,
Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, right. I did read some trade reports. Jeff Passan had mentioned fire sale with the White Sox, and the perfect trade opportunity would be with the Cardinals. The Cardinals have a ton of prospects. The White Sox have Dylan Cease, or they have who's the other one? Giolito.
Right.
I mean, one of those two guys, you could maybe make a trade between those, kind of shake it up. I mean, something like that needs to happen. It's either you fire Ollie or you make a trade or you do something, because you can't continue to go down this same path. I know it's probably one of those, okay, the schedule's been hard. We just had this long 10-day trip on the West Coast where they won 2 games. The good news is you're back home. So now you just try to refresh things, right? You try to literally just say, okay, the storyline of this season when we make the playoffs is, can you believe how bad they were in April and then how great they played from then on? That's what you want to have happen, right? And they essentially just gave the guys a day off today. Like Nolan Arenado drove to his house in Carlsbad, California to spend a day with his family. And so he's just supposed to report back tomorrow for a game. But it's just one of those where it's like Ollie basically said, just go away. Just don't even think about baseball for a day and come back Tuesday and let's get on a little bit of a streak. I mean, at this point, winning a series. Well, first of all, they still haven't won the first game of any series.
That's insane.
That is really insane. And, of course, Ollie, unfortunately, after about 6 of those made the statement, well, I'm not really concerned about that. Well, you probably shouldn't have said that, because now Cardinals fans are just jumping all over what he said.
Right.
Well, now, the idea that you can't even win the first game of any series, let alone win a series. And normally that's been what the strength of the Cardinals organization has been so many years, is that they'll win 2 out of 3 every time. And the next thing you know, you've won the division, you're in the playoffs. This year, they can't even win the first game, let alone a division. Mark and Urbana said, Lon, I'm a White Sox fan, and the season's already over. I mean, I feel like White Sox and Cardinals fans right now are just like, just get together and figure something out. Those two teams.
And these are two teams that had high expectations. It's not like they're the Detroit Tigers coming into the year.
Exactly. The White Sox are really disappointing to me.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I thought if you would have told me.
They're even a different level of bad than the Cardinals.
There's no doubt. But if you would have told me 3 years ago that in 3 years, I would have told you then the White Sox will have won a World Series, or at least been in one. Instead, if you would have told me the White Sox would be one of the worst teams in baseball in 3 years, I'd say no. I mean, they had injuries the years where they were trying to. I mean, aren't a lot of these kids still young? Isn't Giolito young?
Yeah, he's kind of fallen off a cliff. I don't know
Dylan
what's happened to
Cease.
him.
I mean,
Luis Robert.
I always wanted to say Robert.
Seen a lot of White Sox fans really upset with the way he's played. Moncada's never turned out. I know Tim Anderson's hurt right now.
Right. I need to dive more into the White Sox before I make a fool of myself trying to talk about them. But, yeah, I really am disappointed in the White Sox, because I think it's because Jeremy Werner's a White Sox fan, and I know a few White Sox fans that I was kind of like, you know what, I'm going to embrace a good 5-year stretch for the White Sox. I'm going to have fun watching them, because they're going to be – they've got, like, you talk about Robert and Moncada. You talk about guys that can hit home runs. So you're like, I'm going to enjoy watching this team. Tim Anderson's like Tony Gwynn now. He hits 300, and he's the only dude that regularly hits 300 and wins batting titles. But all of a sudden, they're just bad too. I don't know. I think the Cardinals and White Sox should be forced to have a team. They should just the two GMs should all meet and basically say you don't come out of the room until you have a trade that involves 3 players on one team and 3 on the other. Like, trade the entire outfield to the White Sox, and we get a couple of their pitchers. Yeah, right. White Sox fans are like, what? We don't want your Tyler O'Neill issues or your Lars Nootbaar. I don't know. Kyle, it's just bleh. All right, we got Aaron Lemming right at 4:05. We're going to talk to Aaron. Keep your texts coming in, 359-2255, 217-359-2255. Aaron, of course, will join us on the Tapman's Towing phone line. Fire him in. Tomorrow, don't we already have guests lined up? We got Joey Wagner tomorrow. Right. Okay. I was losing track of all this, so I had to text Kyle. I'm like, you're going to have to help me here. Friday, we will preview the Kentucky Derby with Chris Block, trainer of Block Racing Stables. We'll get ready for, normally when that rolls around, normally when the Masters rolls around is when the weather starts to turn to where it's nicer days, and you watch the Masters and you're like, all right, now I want to golf. I got to get out there and golf. Well, now, good luck. And now we're already to the Kentucky Derby, and the weather's still bad. I don't get it. I guess just blame the weathermen. That's what you do. By the way, thoughts and prayers go out to everybody involved in a huge pileup on I-55 south of Springfield. That was dangerous. I guess because of our weather, a lot of dust blowing from the fields across, and it caused a major accident that shut down both lanes of I-55. I have a lot of friends that live over in that Auburn, Waverly, New Berlin, kind of in that Springfield area, Chatham. And I'm praying that obviously everything goes well for everyone, but boy, it looked pretty bad. And I haven't heard anything in terms of reports about any casualties, etc., but that looked like a really, really bad pileup. And, of course, you had semis involved, so you're talking about a lot of weight moving at a fast pace. So I don't know. I'm just praying for everybody over there because that is not a good situation, obviously, that happened south of Springfield. I know it's I don't even know if they have the interstate open yet. I don't know that it is.
Think so.
I doubt it. I mean, I would highly doubt it. So, all right, let's catch a break. We need to do that. We'll come back, and I don't know, what do you want to talk about? You want to talk NBA?
Why not?
Talk some NBA. I'll talk some NBA with you. Or we can talk NFL draft.
Let's do that.
Let's do that.
That's
yeah,
the
let's
more
do
pressing
that.
topic.
Yeah, I agree. We could kind of go back to the NBA at any time. Maybe if the Sixers beat the Celtics in a series.
What's your confidence level 1 to 10 of that happening?
No, it's a 2. It would be a 5 with Embiid healthy, but he's like at 50%.
He's not even playing tonight, I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, is Tatum still on the Celtics?
Yes.
Yeah. So 1. No, I'll go 2. I just the Celtics have the Sixers number. They have since I've been born, essentially, and they really have it now. You talk about I talk about the White Sox and how frustration that is. I mean, the Sixers for years just tanked with the idea that they were going after these number 1 picks. I think the only one that worked was Joel Embiid. I mean, Ben Simmons all of a sudden didn't even want to dunk. Like, how mental do you have to be, like, mentally locked to not even dunk? Like, I get it if you don't want to shoot, but if you can dunk a basketball, you're not going to miss that very often. And he literally just became locked up. I don't know. It's just, you go back through the years of all the Sixers' number 1 picks that.
Markelle Fultz.
Oh. He's like the target for me. Like, you literally traded. Like, the reason the Celtics have Tatum is because of the Sixers. Like, you not only drafted a guy that decided he didn't know how to shoot anymore. That alone, you can end the story right there and either laugh until you cry or just start crying. But not only that, I'm going to add to the layer of the story in the sense that you essentially handed Tatum to the team that now annually whips your ass. And he's the guy that does the ass whipping. I mean, it all comes back to that draft in terms of it is just maddening. But that can all change tonight. There's a lot of upsets, right? The West has what? The 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th teams that advance to the second round, which is crazy. And then in the East, Miami, the 8th seed, is now up 1-0, right?
That's right. Yeah, the West doesn't have the 8th seed because the Nuggets did beat the Timberwolves.
That's right. They had a chance to have 5, 6, 7, 8, right?
They did, yep. They got 5, 6, and 7. They got series. Can you imagine if I told you Warriors-Lakers would be the 6 and 7 seed
no.
in the second round?
I didn't even know that because I just assumed the Warriors were – I don't pay a lot of attention to the NBA, let alone the West. I'm more in the East with the Sixers, but wow, that's pretty crazy. All right, we've talked now for 48 minutes. So we've gone from really not having a lot to talk about to just going for 48 minutes. So we got to catch a break. We'll come back, talk a little NBA or NFL draft, and then that'll get us into the 4 o'clock hour where we will visit with Aaron Lemming, Bear Report, get his thoughts on what the Bears did in this draft. I think overall people are saying either A-, B, B+, kind of right in that area. Maybe not A, but certainly I think the Bears did a pretty good job. So we'll touch base with Aaron Lemming on that. Until then, we're back. It is The Drive.
Wouldn't it be nice to visit a car dealership where you didn't feel like you were at an auction? Or didn't feel like you were being taken to the cleaners?
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Welcome to Sarah Champagne. At Sarah, they offer a one-price promise. Every vehicle at a fair price, no negotiation, only the best price. Sarah Champagne, Honda, BMW, GMC, Buick, and Subaru. SERRA Champagne.com.
Tired of trying to keep up with Old Man Jones and his perfect lawn? Spring Green knows that we can't all spend hours a day creating that perfect shade of green, killing off all that crabgrass, and making sure every insect in the neighborhood doesn't call your lawn home this year. At Spring Green, they take the hassle out of your lawn headache with services such as lawn fertilization, weed control, grub and insect control, lime treatments, and even bush and tree care. Let the experts at Spring Spring Green help you this season. For more information, visit them at spring-green.com. Spring Green, America's neighborhood lawn care team.
No matter what, it takes a great team to win. And in Fairbury, Aftershock Decals and Design wins consistently. And it's the all-star team that makes it happen. Do you have what it takes to be a part of this winning team? Aftershock Decals and Designs is recruiting. If you are looking to join this all-star team and you have 2 years of experience in either graphics design or wrap installations, we want you. AftershockDD.com/jobs. Aftershock Decals and Design is an equal opportunity employer. That's a wrap. Get noticed.
Come see what's new for spring at Merle Norman. Our Airy Color Collection features weightless washes of color for eyes and lips. New 97% natural and plant-based soft touch shadow glides seamlessly over lids for silky sheer to vibrant color. Choose from 9 versatile singles. Top off your eye look with 4 limited edition rosy shades of nourishing tinted lip balm. Shop while supplies last. The Airy Color Collection is available now at 706 West Market View Drive in Champaign.
Jets is hiring. Call 217-352-9992 or stop into 1907 West Springfield Avenue near Round Barn in Champaign. Jets is open till 10 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays till midnight. Are you looking for a side hustle? Here's Josh from Jets talking about the benefits of doing deliveries.
When I was a delivery driver, it was amazing how much the actual amount of money I had just shot right up. You have money in your pocket every single day.
For details on joining the team, visit jetspizza.com.
Have you heard rare, exotic Tibetan yak meat is now available locally? Savannah Ridge Farms, operating in Indianola, Illinois, has been expanding their yak herd in central Illinois for nearly 2 years, offering local farm-to-table meat containing absolutely no antibiotics, no hormones, or steroids. Savannah Ridge Farms raises free-range yaks, fed organic grass and hay in chemical-free open land. They are humanely raised and harvested locally. Yak meat is one of the best sources of protein and is nearly 100% fat-free. So if you want healthy, nutrient-dense, vitamin-packed red meat without the worry of how it got to your plate, visit SavannahRidgeFarms.com and check out their Facebook page. They deliver to Champaign and Vermilion counties. You can even pick them up at their farm. It's SavannahRidgeFarms.com. It's time for the annual Cardinal Bus Trip. Hi, it's Stevie J, inviting you to take a trip with us to St. Louis, Missouri for the day. It's July 19th. The Cardinals will be taking on the Miami Marlins, and every seat is in the suite. Yes, we'll have our private suite for Stevie J listeners and Cardinal fans. It's only $225. That includes your bus trip, of course, there and back, all the food and drink you would like, and positioned perfectly in bus parking. Walk in, up the ramp. 207 is the name of our suite. Number 207 along the first base line. Again, July 19th, it's the Cardinal Miami game in St. Louis, Missouri. The game starts after 1 o'clock. We'll leave at 8 in the morning and be back hopefully by about 6. If you're interested in this year's trip, text in BUS 217-359-2255 for all of the information. That's 217-359-2255. Text in BUS.
Hey, Illini fans, it's Mike Greenberg. Catch Lon Tay and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
All right, NFL draft went on this last of last week, I guess, and then into the weekend. We're going to have Aaron Lemming on coming up 4:05 to touch on the Bears. Kyle, you were able to download, it's a CBS Sports. Went through the Bears draft and kind of gave their thoughts on that. Who exactly is talking in this thing?
Rick Spielman and Emery Hunt of CBS.
Let's hear what they had to say on the Chicago Bears draft.
Let's start with the Chicago Bears, who had an interesting first round. We talked about that last night on With the First Pick podcast. They traded down, took Darnell Wright, had an opportunity to get Jalen Carter, ended up getting Gervon Dexter later. Curious, but maybe it works out for them. We'll find out. But in terms of what happened here on day 3, what's your best pick of this entire draft class?
Yeah, well, when you look at what they needed, they definitely needed a new right tackle. And Darnell Wright is probably the most physical out of all these offensive linemen that went early in the first round. He had a great game against Will Anderson, shut him out in pass protection. When he was on the left side, I had him as a Saturday pick. When you watched him in 21, moved over to the right side, and he ends up being a top 10 pick. I think he's going to be a day one starter when he comes in. I thought they may have looked at left tackle, but Braxton Jones, who they drafted last year in the 5th round, ended up being a pleasant surprise. But this kid's going to be a tone setter up front for them.
I talked to a team that thought that maybe Darnell Wright had an opportunity to play left tackle at the next level. And although he didn't do great in that position in 2021, he has gotten better and older. So we'll see what the Bears end up doing. Either way, it's a great pick, even if they had to trade down and pass on Jalen Carter. Emery, I'm going to come to you first because we're going to talk with Rick's hidden gem here, and Rick, I'll get your thoughts in a second. This is one of my favorite players. I love this guy going back to the fall. We talked about him last night, in fact. Roschon Johnson, the running back out of Texas. Why do you like him?
So versatile, man. And here's the thing. I'm not an advocate for taking your best player off the field. But when you think about the fact that he came into Texas as a quarterback and now you're opening up your playbook inside the high red zone, low red zone, some wildcat situations, Roschon Johnson can do it all. He can run the ball, he can catch, he can block and pass pro, and does a great job as a kickoff and punt returner if he's asked to play special team, which he does well.
So, Rick, maybe it was too rich obviously for the Bears' blood and other teams, and maybe even for you, but I had him as a late second rounder. I liked him that much. Is 4th round feel about right, or should he gone earlier?
No, I thought he was a Friday talent. So,
okay.
But I know you've been crowing about him ever since I met him back. Yeah.
But he's on your list.
He made the list.
That's right.
And I watched him, and when you think of monsters of the Midway, you think of this type player. November, December, when it's cold, rainy, snowy, give this monster the ball, and he's going to churn out yards for you. And he's the type of back that the more touches he gets, the better he's going to wear defenses down. So he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's going to help you on special teams. Like you said, they use him as a kickoff returner. Now I think he's just a safe kickoff returner. But this kid's going to be a very good football player. Montgomery signed with the Detroit Lions, so they needed another back that can ground and pound, and this guy fits that bill.
There you go. Nice little kind of a recap, if you will, of the Chicago Bears draft. Of course, go right tackle Darnell Wright out of Tennessee with their first pick in the first. I'm sorry, with pick 10, in the first round, and then Gervon Dexter, the big defensive tackle from Florida, with their second pick. They also get a cornerback, another defensive tackle. They just talked about Roschon Johnson, the running back. Wide receiver out of Cincinnati, that Tyler Scott, supposed to be pretty athletic. And then they go linebacker and cornerback. So, decent draft overall. How'd the Miami Dolphins do?
They had an interesting one.
Oh.
Obviously, they only had 2 picks that meant anything because they had a 2nd and a 3rd and then a 6th and a 7th. They went with a corner, Cam Smith out of South Carolina, with their 2nd-round pick. Probably the last thing I would have thought they would have drafted with Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey at corner, and there's some depth there.
Interesting.
I told you on Friday I was hoping for a tight end, maybe an offensive lineman, and I said they'll probably do something I don't expect, and that's what they did.
That's exactly what they did.
And in the 3rd round they took Devon Achane, a running back out of Texas A&M, who apparently the fastest running back in the draft, ran like a 4.3 240. I'll take that one, I guess.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, the Dolphins and Cardinals both had tampering issues. How funny is that? Cardinals literally had to give their draft pick away. Swap the draft pick, in the 3rd round. So they had to move down like 20-some spots with Philadelphia, which everything is going right for these days.
Well, is that the pick that allowed them to get Sidney Brown?
No, I don't think so. They must have had another 3rd because this was a high 3rd. I don't think they took him right off the bat.
They did. He was the 3rd pick of the 3rd round.
Well, then, that was it. How about that?
Thanks to the Arizona Cardinals, Sidney Brown's joining the NFC champs.
We could have had him. All right, well, let's ask Aaron Leming what he thought of how the Chicago Bears did. He always gives us great thoughts. He'll be joining us at 4:05 next hour to do that. If you want to weigh in, 359-2255. I know a lot of people are texting in Bus, interested in finding out about that Cardinals trip that Stevie J Broadcasting were taking you down for. If you are interested in hearing information on that from Diane and Stevie and everyone above, just text in Bus to 359-2255. We're back with Aaron Leming. Next, it is The Drive. Why, Kyle, are we still on the air? because I...
By now, you've all heard the expression, when you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481 for PDR Automotive. They are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR. But who are they? They, the PDR staff, understand that a name is only as good as the people that represent it. The PDR staff has more than 335 years of combined automotive experience, several employees now on staff for more than 25 years. PDR, more than just a name. Family owned and operated, now celebrating over 50 years in business.
Illini pizza fans, great things come from Jets Pizza. Detroit-style pizza is one of them. Freshly made dough pressed into steel pans inspired by the Motor City. Topped with premium mozzarella, Mama Jet's secret sauce, fresh toppings, then baked to the thickest, crispiest, cheesy crunch. Want Detroit-style proof? Order Jet's famous 8-corner pizza. It's 8 pieces of crispy, crunchy, and cheesy to the edge pizza. Right now, get $5 off an 8-corner pizza at regular menu price. Online code 8SAVE. Jets Pizza. Better because it has to be.
Lisa Brady, Fox News. The White House just confirming that the remaining vaccine mandates for federal workers and contractors and for foreign air travelers to the U.S. will end next week when the national public health emergency ends on May 11th. The mandates prompted a variety of legal challenges. Vaccine requirements for large employers and the U.S. military have already been rolled back by federal courts and Congress. A House bill to raise the debt limit with spending cuts attached will get an airing in the U.S. Senate, but only in committees, where Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says Democrats will expose the damage it would do.
The Republican Default on America Act has no future in the Senate, and it does nothing to resolve the looming default crisis.
This as President Biden accuses Republicans of reckless hostage-taking, but House Speaker Kevin McCarthy faults the president for not agreeing to negotiate.
The debt is a big challenge for America. We're going to have to come together to solve it.
McCarthy speaking after addressing the Israeli parliament earlier today. President Biden has suggested talks on spending cuts should come later, after the debt ceiling is raised. A state lawmaker censured last week in Montana is now suing.
Montana State Rep Zoe Zephyr has filed a lawsuit asking to be allowed to return to the Montana House floor after the Democrat was reprimanded last week for what her colleagues called hateful comments, that they'd have blood on their hands for voting to ban child sex change treatments in Montana and for encouraging protests that disrupted proceedings, with riot police making several arrests.
Fox's Jeff Manasso, lawyers for Zephyr, who's transgender, argue that unless her rights are restored, her constituents will have no voice on the state budget, which is being taken up in the closing days of the current legislative session. America is listening to Fox News.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-350-6946 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-350-6946. That's 800-350-6946. What do you have to lose? Call 800-350-6946. Again, 800-350-6946.
The Biden administration believes tens of thousands of Russians have died this year fighting in Ukraine.
Russia's advance in the Donbass, centered around the city of Bakhmut, has failed, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby says. His forces there have taken on heavy losses since December, with more than 100,000 casualties and 20,000 killed.
The majority of whom were Russian convicts that were thrown into combat in Bakhmut.
Kirby says those troops, many conscripted by the Wagner mercenary force, lack any kind of training, leadership, or command and control.
The bottom line is that Russia's attempted offensive has backfired.
Kirby did not estimate the number of Ukrainian troops killed or wounded in fighting, though U.S. military officials say it's probably also about 100,000. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
A windstorm kicking up dust is blamed for multiple fatalities in south central Illinois after numerous crashes involving 40 to 60 passenger cars and tractor trailers. State police say Interstate 55 is shut down for miles in both directions in Montgomery County, north of St. Louis. Aerosmith announces a farewell tour.
Aerosmith posting on social media, peace out. After 50 years, 10 world tours, and playing for over 100 million fans, it's time for one last go. The upcoming tour currently includes 40 dates and kicks off September 2nd in Philadelphia, with a notable New Year's Eve show planned in Boston, which is largely considered the band's hometown. The tour's last performance is currently slated for January 26th in Montreal. The band reportedly revealing drummer Joey Kramer plans to sit out the currently scheduled tour dates to focus on his family and health.
Fox's Lauren Faulkner. May gets off to a tepid start on Wall Street. The Dow down 46 points, giving up gains during the session, but avoiding a sell-off after the second largest bank failure in U.S. history, as First Republic is seized and then sold to J.P. Morgan Chase. And Lisa Brady, Fox News.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Hello again, everyone. Let's check weather for Eastern Florida, Champaign-Urbana vicinity. Welcome to May, and it's anything but a real mid-spring feel around here, more or less a March feel for the next couple of days. But we'll begin the moderation process the middle part of the week, and a big warm-up with dry time slated for the upcoming weekend. A couple of rain showers break out for the day-to-day, and that gusty west-northwest wind up to 40 miles per hour in open areas, and a cold high, almost 15 shy of normal at 52. Lingering sprinkles this evening, mostly cloudy, windy down to 42. Tomorrow, breezy, chilly, considerable cloudy. Just a couple of afternoon sprinkles break out up to 55 on a northwest wind. Skies clear off tomorrow night. Wind subsides. Some patchy frost after midnight. Low down to 34. Sunny, milder for the day on Wednesday up to 63. Could be a stray, brief light shower late Thursday into early Friday, but then we're dry and warmer for the weekend. 68 on Thursday. Highs up near about 70 on Friday, and then for the weekend, 70 for Saturday, about 75 for Sunday. For Stevie J Broadcasting, I'm meteorologist Greg Solier.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
Check. I literally just create madness.
Well, they're up.
I'm going to go off here.
They don't have a great quarterback.
I got to take a break. I'm getting in trouble.
To win the Big Ten, you first got to win the West.
Bad Bunny. Have you heard his name in a while?
No.
Has it bothered you?
No. Defensively, they got to come in with some confidence.
Is that even analytics?
I'm in a parking garage, kind of lost.
Terrence Shannon, Matthew Meyer, R.J. Melendez, Coleman Hawkins.
These trophy presentations aren't over.
I didn't come here to go 5-7.
I'm so proud of Illinois football right now. I'm so tired of Joel Embiid.
We're not taking Patrick Corbin.
I want to bet the Bears.
Oh.
You are Reba McEntire's niece.
Roshan Russell.
Coach Bielma.
You no longer salute to yourself.
What? We got all kinds of things for you here.
There's a lot of glass.
Oh.
Guys, we have breaking news.
Uh-oh.
It's The Drive.
Smack Dogs.
Thunderstruck.
Oh, yeah. Good evening. Still sunlight out. That's nice. Just got a little wind blowing. Cooler temps. Feel like I'm in Chicago, to be honest with you.
I do too.
Ah, right? I mean, it's got the Chicago weather feel to it.
I got out of there.
Should have gone to Carbondale. It's always about 8 degrees warmer. Down in Carbondale, it is The Drive with Tay and Piper. No Derek Piper on vacation this week. Kyle Tosk joining me. We talked a lot of the NFL draft, a little bit in that first hour, and touched on the Bears and what they did. Heard a little kind of recap, if you will, from CBS Sports. But now we're going to go to our expert, or the guy that really knows this stuff, and that's Aaron Lemming, Bear Report. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. No Derek again?
Yeah.
Trying to avoid me or what?
I know. He what he did, he took the day Friday so he could get a little head start on the vacation.
And there we go. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I do that all the time.
Exactly. Smart idea. Now he's just praying that what's it, Ray J. Dennis or Hunter Dickinson decides not to come to Illinois, or Coleman Hawkins or Terrence Shannon make the decision this week that they're coming back to Illinois and getting out of the – I mean, now he's just hoping for a week of silence with basketball, but that's not ever going to happen, right?
It never does.
Never.
Sports are never that easy.
That's exactly right. Well, Aaron Leming, I don't like the draft when they give the grade, of A or B or whatever. I think it's just so, smallish. I don't know why. I just don't like that. But anyway, in your mind, what's the right word you would put to what the Bears did in this current NFL draft?
Well, I do agree that draft grades are completely pointless. But what I will say is that, I tell you what, man, those things will absolutely jump the amount of people viewing your website or the article or whatever. And that's really what it's about, right? Because it's like you can't judge something that you've never seen these guys out on the field. And usually if you go back a few years and actually look at draft grades, a lot of them are almost the exact opposite of what they were projected to be. So with the Bears, I think it was I would say a boring yet effective draft, right? Good. Because you're talking about a team that needed a lot of help in the trenches, and that's exactly what they got. They got, an offensive tackle, Darnell Wright, at 10 overall, and then they got a few defensive linemen. They got another corner. They got a receiver. They got another defensive lineman. It just in a running back. So, it wasn't the most sexy of things. But again, if you go back and look at the Bears drafts, full drafts over the last few years when they've actually had a first-round pick, those flashy drafts that they've had have not usually panned out too well for them, and the main reason why is because they don't usually attack the trenches. So thank God they finally, drafted an offensive lineman in the top 10 for the first time in 20-some-odd years, and, thank God that they're actually trying to build the team the right way from the inside out. So, they got that going for them at least, right?
I agree, totally. Was there a pick that surprised you in terms of, whoa, I didn't know he'd still be there, or surprised, even the Bears, you think, to where, well, I feel like we got a steal, and maybe it's Roschon Johnson, the running back?
So Roschon Johnson was a really good value at the beginning of the fourth round, especially when you consider the trade back, right? But I do think their next pick in the fourth round, which was Tyler Scott, I think that was actually the bigger of the two values, in my opinion. I think that when you really look at the fact, Dane Brugler was a guy that had him as a second-round receiver, right? I mean, this is a guy that, by all accounts, was going to be one of the first, I'd say, 7 or 8 receivers taken. And the fact that he was able to slide all the way to the fourth round was incredible. I was actually shocked. I had him mocked in my last Bears mock. I had him mocked in a trade where they got number 80 from Pittsburgh. I had him mocked as basically a middle third-round pick. So I think they got great value there. It's kind of funny because, frankly, his NFL comp is probably a guy like Darnell Mooney, and I don't think that really says anything about Mooney's future in Chicago. But, if you compare what they got at 133
right.
with Scott compared to the value that they got last year of Velus Jones Jr. in the beginning of the third round, it's not even comparable. So wow. That was the one pick where I was like, wow, I started pounding the table for him at 64 thinking, okay, you guys probably need to get another receiver. Let's get some good value. And the fact that they were able to get him all the way, in the latter part of the fourth round was pretty impressive.
The Bear Report, Aaron Leming, he's our guy, is, I guess, Darnell Wright, probably someone you project to come in and play right away. Will Gervon Dexter, of these guys, which one do you think, maybe not, even if a Roschon Johnson or a Tyler Scott are just playing, are giving you some, but what of those do you feel like could come in right away and help this team?
Well, I think Darnell Wright is basically a guarantee at this point, right? They've done the Larry Borom experiment. He's a solid find in the fifth round, but let's be honest. He's a swing tackle at best for the Bears. So I think Wright is absolutely a guy that's going to slot week one in right at right tackle there. I think that's his best position anyway, and it also happens to be the position where the Bears needed the most help on the offensive line. I think with the two defensive tackles with Dexter and with Zach Pickens, I think you're looking at probably more of a rotation, and that's fine because, if you look at the snap counts for Matt Eberflus's defenses, since he took over in Indy, there's always been a pretty steady rotation. Usually you have 2, maybe 3 defensive linemen that'll play over 60% of the snaps in those defenses anyway. So they'll see some pretty healthy rotations there. I think the other guy that does slot in probably as a week 1 starter is going to be Tyreek Stevenson, the corner that they took out of Miami, the guy that they traded up 5 picks for. I think he's about as NFL ready as it gets for, a rookie corner. But 2, I think he fits the scheme really well, and I think that he's going to be somebody that you basically slide in at the opposite boundary corner of Jalen Johnson, and then basically, you just keep Kyler Gordon there in the slot and just kind of roll with that. So I think there's going to be multiple contributors. Like you said, Roschon Johnson will probably see some rotation. I would guess, kind of like what happened with David Montgomery, in his rookie year, and even going back to, some of the other running backs they've had, like Jordan Howard. It may take him a few weeks to really get in the rotation because of what they have in front of him. But I think him and Tyler Scott will both see some time, and I think that those are guys that are probably going to end up seeing more time, as the year goes on.
Good stuff.
Now that the draft is over and you can kind of assess things a little bit, what spot do you think Ryan Poles did the best job of addressing this offseason, but also where do you think the biggest holes still are as we head into kind of a second batch of free agency?
Yeah, well, I'd say, at least for me, I think when you're looking at it, I don't even know if I'd really point to a position, but I would definitely say the offense as a whole, right? I mean, you're talking about a team that this time last year had Darnell Mooney and Byron Pringle as their 2 top receivers, and that's not good. Yeah, and now you're talking about, we'll have to see what happens with Chase Claypool, but they have, DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney will be coming back, and then also, Tyler Scott. EQ St. Brown is a great 5th receiver. He's a good blocker. He plays special teams. Like, that's exactly where you want him. You don't want him as your receiver, 2 or 3.
Exactly.
And then, running back depth has got better. I do think, we talked about this before, I think David Montgomery is a solid running back, but I think that the Bears were smart to kind of move away from that, not pay him, get somebody who fits the scheme a little bit better. And then, most importantly, the offensive line. You go out and you draft Darnell Wright at number 10 overall, which is great for right tackle. And then also Nate Davis, who I would guess, if I had to guess, is probably going to be the right guard. I think Tevin Jenkins will end up moving again. But I think that those are the kind of the big moves. I think, the one that they really didn't address very much or effectively, at least in my opinion, would have to be defensive end at this point. They got to get an edge rusher. So it'll be interesting to see because obviously the board didn't fall their way. I don't blame them in the draft. I mean, there was 11 edge rushers that went before the Bears' first pick in the second round. I mean, That was just something that nobody had expected. So I would guess with the $35 million or so that they still have, or I guess closer to 30 in actual, true cap space when you're counting all the draft picks, I would guess that is going to be a position that they go out and target. They got a lot of big defensive ends, those right defensive ends. That means they need a left end with a little bit more speed. So there's a few names out there, a few, trade targets as well. So I would expect that will probably be one of the next moves and maybe one of the final moves before training camp.
Great information. How about the rest of that division? What did you see that those teams – Detroit kind of felt weird reaching for a running back. I almost felt like when Devin Witherspoon was drafted, they just like – oh crap! Now what do we do? And get out of the trade down, then we'll trade back, whatever. What did you think of the Pack and the Vikes and obviously those Lions, who many presume will be the favorite to win that division this season?
Well, I thought, I think the Lions draft was definitely interesting because, I mean, you're talking about taking a running back in the first round that a lot of people had projected towards the end of the first or beginning of the second. And then also, going Jack Campbell. I like Jack Campbell. Mm-hmm. Jack Campbell to me was probably a second or third round, projection. You just go back and look at the history of taking linebackers over the last 10 or 15 years in the first round. It's not good at all. Roquan Smith and Tremaine Edmonds are probably two of the better linebackers that have been taken in the first round. It's just not a very successful position to take. So I think the rest of the draft was pretty solid. Sam Laporta was a really good value for them in round two. I think looking at Green Bay, I think it's absolutely hilarious that they refused to take any sort of receiving help in the draft early when Aaron Rodgers was there. And the minute he leaves, all of a sudden they're going receiver. They double up on tight end with two of the better tight ends in a very deep class. Minnesota was the one that really, I don't know, man. There's just something about the GM over there, Adolfo Mensa, where he's a big analytics guy, and I think it's kind of getting to that point where he's just overthinking things because a lot of the trades that he's been making have been weird. And then if you go back and you look at like the RAS profiles just for their entire draft class, they were all well below average athletes, and that's usually not a very good trend to have in a draft class. So it'll be interesting. I think Minnesota had a lot of very close games that probably should have gone the other way. I think there's going to be a lot of negative regression for them. And then, Detroit is going to be interesting. Same thing with Green Bay. I will say, though, man, I thought one of the biggest winners, if you can count on that in the draft, had to have been Arizona. I mean, the fact that they were able to get what they got was absolutely impressive. They're set up really well for 2024.
Totally agree. I think Monty Austin-Fort really did a great job with the idea that they needed a bunch of picks, right? And obviously the way he was able to trade out of that 3 and then move back to get the guy they wanted. So, no, I totally agree. I think the only thing that I was confused about is the DeAndre Hopkins still on the team, but, maybe they think they can still be halfway competitive, although now I just want them to absolutely be so bad. I want Houston and Arizona to be so bad that the Cardinals essentially take Williams and Harrison Jr. 1 and 2 next year. I mean, that's essentially.
And I think that's fair. I mean, I'm an Oklahoma guy, so I'm extremely biased when it comes to a lot of things. But I say this without bias. I say I think Caleb Williams is going to be the next great quarterback. Like I think whoever ends up lucking in him at number 1 overall. And the thing is with Arizona is it's like if they end up getting that number 1 pick or they can trade up to it, it's like Kyler Murray's still going to net them quite a bit because there's going to be a lot of teams that are like, hey, we don't like our quarterback situation, even though you guys don't particularly like him. He's a huge upgrade for us. They'll end up getting at least 1 or 2 first-round picks for him. So there's a lot of draft capital, and then there's what the Cardinals have right now in 2024.
It's going to be interesting.
Exactly. That's a great way to kick off, rebuild or retool or whatever they're doing there. So I'd be very happy if I were you.
And, of course, I appreciate those words. I'm so gun-shy of being a fan for so long that I try to figure out how can they screw this up. Like, all of a sudden, the Cardinals win 10 games and the Texans are in the Super Bowl. And I'd be like, what?
That honestly sounds a lot like Bears fans. It's like things go well, and you're just kind of sitting there waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah,
so I get it.
Let's take a last question for Aaron Leming. Way too early look at this next season for the Bears. Now that you kind of understand what you've got on this team, I'll even give you the idea that you go out and get an edge. What do you think this Bears team will be? Obviously not very competitive last season, but in a division now with Aaron Rodgers gone. Minnesota, like you said, they won so many close games. I can't see that happening again. And then, of course, Detroit, not bad, but Detroit is Detroit. They're kind of like the Cardinals. You always wait for something to fail. So what do you think of this Bears season from a distance right now going into Matt Eberflus's, second season as coach of the Bears?
Yeah, well, I think there's got to be substantial improvement for one of 2 reasons. One, because you need to know you got the right coaching staff in there, and 2, you need to know that Justin Fields is the guy. Because I can tell you right now, if they win 3, 4, 5 games again, either Justin Fields got hurt or he's simply not the guy, and that is a huge issue for them. So I think going off a thought process that the O-line is better. I'm not going to say it's fixed because there's still quite a bit of questions there, but you got a lot more weapons to work with. I think year 2 in that offense, and such a complex offense, should be a lot better for everybody involved. The defense has still got some questions, but here's the thing: outside of being in the NFC South right now, you're about in the best, at least on paper, you're about in the best division in football to be able to turn things around relatively quickly. So I don't see a playoff bid by any means. Could they luck into one? The Giants somehow made the playoffs last year. It's just one of those things. We see it every year where teams go first to worst. Or worst to first, more the point. So I don't think that will be the case, but if they're not winning 7-8 games, I think that there's going to have to be some serious questions whether or not, Ryan Poles is the guy or whether or not Justin Fields is the guy. So I think, the arrow's pointing up. They're going to have a lot of resources again next offseason. I think this is more of a discovery type of situation, but they should be in the middle of December. They should be at least on the outside looking in for one of those final wild card spots.
That's fair. I always tell Piper, my team lived in that very bottom right-hand section of when Fox would put up the playoff picture. and it was like, the for sure in, like division leaders, this and that. And then on the very right, teams that still have somewhat of a chance, and the Arizona Cardinals were always right there. So maybe this year we'll see the Bears as they slowly work their way back into being a solid NFL squad again. Follow Aaron on Twitter, @Aaron Leming NFL. We've bugged you twice. You came through twice. Now we're going to give you a little time off. Is that fair?
Hey, whatever you guys want. Like I said, I'm always open to coming on. So
well,
I mean, to be completely fair, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot to talk about.
Right.
This is always the fun part and everything dies down. But anytime you guys want me, I always say it and I always mean it.
I appreciate it, buddy. The goods you bring are incredible, and I know our Bears fans certainly enjoy hearing what you have to say and your thoughts on that as well. Again, follow him. Follow Aaron on Twitter. It's at Aaron Leming NFL. Much obliged, my friend.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me on. You guys have a good rest of the day.
Okay, buddy. You too. That is Aaron Leming. Good stuff talking Chicago Bears. And I think the Bears did a pretty good job. I liked what he said in the sense that it was kind of an uneventful draft, and that's what they needed. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what they needed. And I've always said through the years, the team that has the most uneventful draft every year is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And every year they come out and dominate. And I understand that they missed the playoffs last year, and they've had a couple of down years for them, but it just seemed like every year you'd look and like they'd get like a C- grade. And you're like, oh, well, why are they in the playoffs every year? Because they would just have the most uneventful drafts that led to guys that had 8 to 10 year careers, all in Pittsburgh and all dominant. And I've always just been impressed with that. So, yeah, I think that's good stuff. The Eagles, though, wow.
The rich do get richer.
They get Nolan Smith at the end of the first round. I mean, it's to pair with Jalen Carter, right?
Right.
So
the Philadelphia Georgia Bulldogs.
That's right. You said that Friday.
2 more Georgia guys to add to a defense that already had 3 Georgia starters, I think, and then they even took, I think, in the 4th round that Keely Ringo, the corner from Georgia. Oh, that's right. So they just love the Georgia Bulldogs.
Man,
who wouldn't?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. And Georgia, their defense the last 2, 3, 4 seasons has been the best in football, arguably.
May as well just recreate it.
Yeah, right, exactly. Just have it keep going into the pro level. Well, I'm excited for Sidney Brown to get a chance to play with the Eagles because I think Philadelphia is going to be around for a while. And what I mean by that is around winning games.
How about this next year? In the Super Bowl, the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Cincinnati Bengals.
Ooh.
Chase versus Sidney Brown.
Storyline heaven.
For a Super Bowl.
And then get them on a commercial. Like, that would be such a unique opportunity for a big advertiser.
Oh, yeah.
Like Pepsi or Doritos or a beer, anything. Maybe not a beer. I don't know about that. But I think you could take 2 genuinely great kids, good-looking dudes, too. It's not like you need to hide them from the public. So I think somebody, if that ended up being the case, and you had those 2 guys on opposite teams playing each other for the Super Bowl, an advertiser would be smart to pair them in a commercial against each other in some sort of way. I think that would be fantastic. And, man, there is a legit shot.
Yeah, it's not just like a dream. Those are going to be 2 of the favorites in their respective conferences.
That is legit.
Could be
chance.
Fun.
That is incredible. All right, let's take a break. Come back. It is The Drive.
Hi, I'm Troy Lands from Lands Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Right now at Lands, it's a great time to buy a new Trane heating and cooling system. We are offering special financing or up to $1,500 off any qualifying Trane system. At Lands, we know what it takes to deliver exceptional comfort, and we offer a 100% satisfaction guarantee. So if you are thinking of a new comfort system, now is the time to buy. And remember, it's hard to stop a Trane. I'm Troy Lands. You can count on my company because you can count on me.
Subject to credit approval, see store for details.
Kelsey Furniture in downtown Tuscola sells Tempur-Pedic beds. What's it like?
I'm going to tell you right now, Stevie, that thing is the best thing I've ever slept on in my life. My wife and I both have said we've never had better night's sleep. And the people at Kelsey's were fantastic. Brian is the guy that helped us. You know, as much as I did my research, he had a world of knowledge about beds themselves. Oh, man, it's like sleeping on a cloud, man.
Kelsey Furniture, downtown Tuscola.
It's spring, which means it's time for spring cleaning. Do you have unwanted furniture, appliances, home accessories, or building materials? Does your business have overstock or obsolete inventory? Donate your new or gently used items to the Habitat for Humanity Restore. Sale of your donated items to the public at budget-friendly prices reduces landfill waste while helping families in our community gain access to affordable housing. Visit cuhabitat.org or call 217-359-0507 today to schedule a free donation pickup.
Hi, I'm Tyler Weaver, president of Carpet Weavers Flooring and Furniture Gallery. It's time to come home to Carpet Weavers. We don't want you to just like your new floors. We want you to love them. From waterproof floors and carpet to furnitures and design advice, we've got a team of experts on your side. We'll get you the best price and the best quality products. And complete your home with furniture and accessories. Buy it all with free financing too. Come home to Carpet Weavers, where floors, furniture, and family meet.
Skincare lovers, listen up. Visit Merle Norman today for their limited edition Proven Pair gift set. Clinically proven to smooth the look of fine facial lines, this special duo features best-selling Pro Retinol Fine Line Minimizer Serum and protective anti-aging complex eye treatment, broad spectrum SPF 15. Also perfect for Mother's Day. Proven Pair gift set is available now while supplies last at Merle Norman, 706 West Market View Drive in Champaign, over by Subway.
Urbana Park District has job openings for the summer, hiring camp counselors, assistants, lifeguards, customer service representatives, ground and building positions, and more. Everyone is welcome to apply for a job, and the Park District offers competitive wages, always hiring not only for seasonal jobs, but for jobs year-round. Urbana Park District, you belong here. Online applications taken at urbanaparks.org/jobs.
The sounds of spring and the smell of flowers in the air, they all add up to Spring Green, America's neighborhood lawn care team. They become your favorite through quality service and professionalism. Spring Green will service and maintain your lawnscape with seeding, aeration, fertilizing, disease, and insect control. Over 32 years of satisfied customers reflect their commitment to Champaign-Urbana and the Mattoon Charleston area. Call Spring Green at 217-359-2111 or online at spring-green.com.
Hi, I'm Skylar Pumphrey from Greenview. You want to enjoy your outdoor space, not work in it? Let our team at Greenview help you today. Prom is around the corner. Imagine the photos with a Greenview flower bed exploding with color as the background. Plant a garden in memory of Mom for Mother's Day this year. Custom fireplaces, patios, kitchens, pool decks, waterfalls, rainscapes, theme gardens, and anything else you can imagine. Make Greenview your call for all jobs, big or small. Call Greenview today at 217-586-1112. Visit greenview.com.
Looking for a way to give back to your community, learn new skills, and make a real difference? Consider volunteering with your local fire department. 7 out of 10 firefighters and emergency responders are volunteers, answering the call when their community needs them the most. Be part of a dedicated team of volunteers who step up and protect their community from all types of hazards. You can be the difference.
Call your local village office or reach out on social media. A big thanks to those who are volunteering to be a part of the fire department from Stevie J Broadcasting.
Good point to a 217. You have the Kelsey brothers, but now you got twins, of course, with the Browns, and you got one on offense, one on defense. I agree. I think, somebody said Dairy Queen. I don't think Dairy Queen throws its hat in the mix when it comes to $1 million commercials. I don't think, do they? Maybe I'm wrong.
I haven't seen one.
Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I mean, you could have, like, what were they pushing this year? Like Coke Zero or Pepsi Zero or whatever. Maybe you have one brother drinking a regular Pepsi and the other one drinking the Pepsi Zero. And
they always got the Mountain Dew commercial.
Yeah. And you got the Canadian aspect of it. I don't know if that means anything. I don't know if there's a Canadian product they want to push.
Maple syrup, maybe?
Yeah, boom. What are we doing on the radio? We need to be in boardrooms. We need to be making commercials in boardrooms somewhere is what we need to do. All right, it's The Drive, 217-359-2255. If you'd like to weigh in. Sal says double mint gum. I like it. I like that. All right, so we are looking at each other kind of like, what do we want to talk about now? Because essentially the Cardinals are horrible. The Cubs just got off a horrible weekend. So I do want to, at some point this week, I do want to get your thoughts on the Cubs and go a little bit. I do remember the double mint gum twins. Yeah. I do want to get your thoughts on that and kind of a little bit of what you think of this Cubs squad, and is this sustainable, would be my question to you, so we can get into that. I asked you to pull up the NBA and the NHL pairings now to who's playing whom. I think there's a Game 7 tonight in the NHL, but are you on NBA?
I am.
Okay, let's go through NBA first. We can do that first.
We can start with the two games that are happening tonight.
Okay.
One of which we alluded to earlier, the 76ers in Boston taking on the Celtics, Game 1 of that series.
And
Joel Embiid will not be suiting up for that game.
Okay. And Boston is a 10-point favorite. 10-point favorite.
9.5 right now.
So, okay. So that, let's be honest, I mean, the Sixers and Celtics, it's like oil and water. They don't mix well. And unfortunately, Boston has usually gotten the better end of that lately. And I just don't, as a Sixers fan, I don't feel comfortable that Philadelphia can get this done against Boston in the series, especially when you're MVP of the league and your best player, Joel Embiid, is going to be hurt. And even if he does play, I don't think that he would be that productive in general. Although I say that, he'd still probably go out double-double and be pretty – I mean, he's pretty good. Even 50%, Joel Embiid's a stud.
James Harden's got a chance to silence some of those narratives now without Joel in there if he goes out there and gets Game 1 for the Sixers.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? That would be interesting.
Other game tonight, Suns-Nuggets. That is Game 2 of the series. The Nuggets took home Game 1 back on Saturday night, I believe.
The Kevin Durant pressure.
The Suns better not go down 2-0. They have a lot of pressure on them after they go out and make the Durant move, and obviously they lost early last year.
Mm-hmm. Is this in Phoenix tonight?
This is in Denver still.
Oh, okay. All right. So if they could get one here, that'd be big for the Suns. So, yeah, I mean, I feel the pressure of a guy like Kevin Durant, who, a lot of people always looked at like, well, you just went and joined clubs to win titles. You get all this all the time, but I think Kevin Durant is obviously a stud. So we'll see what he can do. I've always kind of enjoyed watching the Suns play as well. So that'll be on tonight with that. Okay. All right. What are some of the other series now? Like Golden State, who do they play now? Oh, the Lakers.
Warriors-Lakers is going to be a heck of a series. And like I said, can you imagine those two teams are the 6 and 7 seeds in the West? But
wow,
they're a lot better than that for sure. I think this is going to be a pretty awesome series. Lakers have looked a ton better in the second half of the year. They made a couple big deadline moves.
They did.
Got rid of Russell Westbrook, brought in D'Angelo Russell, brought in a couple other guys. They look a lot better. And the Warriors, you can just never count them out. I mean, when Steph Curry's putting up 50 in a Game 7,
they're not very big.
They aren't,
obviously.
But it hasn't hurt them for 7 years.
No, and really for the Warriors, doesn't it just come down to how weirded out Draymond Green is going to be? I mean,
if he's not going to step on anyone and get suspended.
He's just lost his mind, hasn't he? I mean, a little bit. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, because when Draymond is out there, he's obviously good. And they didn't get much out of Jordan Poole yesterday, but obviously he's someone that can light it up as well. So we'll see. I mean, that should be an pretty entertaining series. And then what is the other one? That's Miami.
The other one in the East is Miami against the Knicks.
Oh, that's right. And Miami won Game 1 at New York,
Heat
right?
Won Game 1 yesterday, 108-101. Jimmy Butler did roll his ankle pretty bad there in the fourth quarter. Stayed in, was kind of a decoy. Still had 25 points. But that'll be something to watch the rest of that series. I know Julius Randle, I think, missed the game yesterday with an injury. So dueling injuries to star players in that series.
Isn't it amazing what Jimmy Butler has done? I mean,
incredible.
Wherever he goes now.
I know far too well. He was my favorite probably my favorite player growing up.
Yes.
Basketball player when he was with the Bulls. Just loved him. Was distraught when the Bulls got rid of him, and sure enough, he's still putting up. He had 56 in that game against the Bucks a couple weeks ago.
Right. Wow. I mean, that Jimmy Butler it was a guy that kind of, when he left Chicago, it was kind of a weird, I don't know, there was like a weird thing that followed him, and it was like, he must not be someone that is good to play, you know.
Well, he had that incident when the Bulls traded him to the Timberwolves, and then he had that practice incident.
That's right.
Where he came in, and I forget exactly how it went down, but I think he was just kind of confronting everybody, said Karl Anthony Towns was soft or something, and there was that whole thing. And then, of course, they shipped him off to your Sixers for that year. So, yeah, he did kind of have that weird period, but now he's settled into the Heat.
I tell you what, he's tough, man. He is really good. Do you see them winning that series against New York, especially, I mean, now that they're up 1-0, that always helps, but is that kind of what you see there?
I think so. I think this is a series that'll probably go 6 or 7. The Knicks are kind of interesting because, like, I just don't really buy them that much. They did add Jalen Brunson, which has been huge for them.
He has been big.
But I just don't know. They just don't have the star power, and at the end of the day, I think stars win in the playoffs, and I think Jimmy Butler probably will continue to lead that Heat team at least one more series.
U of I Line and Link text line, Matt said Harper and Tom Anderson did Dairy Queen. Their work. Oh, yeah, Bryce Harper.
Oh, they do. They had that baseball.
It was Tim Anderson, right?
Tim Anderson, yeah.
And Bryce Harper.
They had that series of commercials.
They did,
MLB
so there
Dairy
you go.
Queen, where they were doing, like, I think, like a home run derby or something.
Yeah. Good call, Matt. So there you go, Dairy Queen. I'm pushing them off for nothing, and they come back, and Matt proves me wrong on that. Randy said there are 3 Sewell brothers in the NFL, and there's 1 in the USFL. That's a pretty productive family right there, I'd say. They did okay.
They did.
Marcus says, how do you think all the Illini PR with a few draft picks will help recruiting? I mean, that has to continue to help your recruiting. I just can't imagine how it wouldn't help in recruiting, especially – in that defensive backfield.
3 guys in the top 70?
You're coming off a year in which you led college football in points allowed per game, and you had 3 out of 4 guys get drafted in the first 3 rounds, which is pretty amazing. I mean, 1 in each round, right? You had 1, 2, and 3. Martin was 2, Sidney Brown 3, and, of course, Spoon taken in the first round. I would assume that would help, but you know what? When it comes to recruiting, I have no idea. I've never tried to follow it that much because there's half of it's strange to me and half of it doesn't make any sense. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see, and I'm sure Illinois will try to capitalize on that. And you know, I mean, is it down the road now that you capitalize in 2 or 3 years, or is it immediately?
It's probably the next class when you talk about 2024, 2025. And I mean, you look at some of the guys heading into next draft, like Johnny Newton could be a first-round pick.
Oh, big time.
And Keith Randolph could go high. And some of the offensive linemen, Isaiah Adams, like they got something good going here where they can really build some momentum with these draft classes.
Who was Maisie Smith? Is that how you say his name? From
Mozzie, maybe?
Mozzie Smith from Michigan, who went in the first round, and he went like 20th or something, or maybe 25th. Okay. And I know I read someone had said, well, if he's going to go in the first round, Johnny Newton's got a legit shot next year.
I saw a mock draft from somebody, and now I feel bad that I don't know who it was from, but this morning that had Johnny Newton in the first round.
Really?
And they're way too early. Now, those change. Like, if you look back at the way too early mock draft from April of 2022, they probably got like 3 prospects, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But nonetheless, I think the early feel is that Johnny Newton's going to go pretty high.
That's pretty impressive if you can make that happen. And Keith Randolph probably be a guy that would go, I would assume, top 3 rounds.
Yeah, he'd probably be in that range that Quan and Sidney went this year.
That's awesome. I don't know anybody else on this Illinois team projecting out.
I know Isaiah Adams and Julian Pearl are both.
Oh, I was talking Isaiah Williams, but you were the smart one. You went to the line.
Those are the 2 guys that I've heard.
Yeah,
I've read at least that at least have some
a
NFL
shot. That'd be cool.
Buzz.
That would be really cool. Hey, we got to catch another break. Quick one. We're back. It is The Drive.
Hi, I'm Troy Lands from Lands Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Right now at Lands, it's a great time to buy a new Trane heating and cooling system. We are offering special financing or up to $1,500 off any qualifying Trane system. At Lands, we know what it takes to deliver exceptional comfort, and we offer 100% satisfaction guarantee. So if you are thinking of a new comfort system, now is the time to buy. And remember, it's hard to stop a Trane. I'm Troy Lands, and you can count on my company because you can count on me.
Subject to credit approval, see store for details.
Let Max Twin City Recycling pay you for your junk metal items. As the weather begins to heat up, now is a great time to put cash in your pocket for the steel, copper, brass, and aluminum items you've been meaning to get rid of. We've recently added a large concrete pad to make unloading quicker and cleaner for our customers. Visit us on North Lincoln Avenue, just north of I-74, or at maxrecycling.com.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
Want unbeatable prices on your next furniture purchase, but also seeking that local hometown feel? Look no further than Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola. Customers rave about their friendly, established staff, as well as their great selection, amazing prices, and second-to-none delivery service. They're a third-generation local business, and they've always got your best interests at heart. Find the look you love for less. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday, but always available online at kelseyfurniture.com. That's kelseyfurniture.com.
Every industry has specialists, like Alan here. He knows radiators.
Radiators. I love them. Don't even talk to me about brakes or fuel lines.
Just radiators.
Radiators.
Sally is a specialist in cakes.
I think pies are an abomination.
Really? Pies?
Yuck.
Then we have Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. You know what they're great at? Appliances. Nothing else. No TVs, no computer printers, no radiators.
Who's got a problem with radiators?
Nobody, Alan. But you can't get one at Dick Van Dyke Appliance World.
Too bad. They're missing out.
I'm Dennis Regan, chairman of Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. All we do is appliances. And when that's all you do it better than anyone else. Our associates on our sales floors know more about them. Our delivery people are better at installing them. And our technicians are better at fixing them. All right here in Central Illinois. Wow!
I can't believe you don't like pies, though.
What do I look like, some kind of a peasant?
No.
Cakes are really the best thing.
Van Dyke Appliance World. When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
If you're looking for a pre-owned car, truck, or van, look no further than Sarah Champagne. You know them for their 5 incredible vehicle brands, the BMW, Honda, Subaru, Buick, and GMC. But did you know they also have over 100 used cars, trucks, and vans in stock right now? And at Sarah Champagne, they will take care of you. You can trust them. And prices begin at under $2,000. Stop by Sarah Champagne. They're at Burwash and Savoy, or go online, sarahchampagne.com. That's Sarah, SERRA, champagne.com.
Yep. Gotta love Game Changer. This is so hard. So Andrew's playing 10 minutes from here at Unity, and I'm going to head over there after the show, but he's up right now.
About to hit a 3-run homer while you're
that'd be
sitting here in
awesome,
Philo.
right? That would be incredible, except I wouldn't be there, and I would be really mad. So, but I'll
just hit a single now and then save your homer for when Lon gets there.
That's fair. That's fair. Or if he wants to homer, I'll be glad for him. I will have watched it on Game Changer, right? All right, real quick, before we duck out of here, you wanted to ask me a little bit about the NHL.
I'm not an NHL fan, but I know that last night was a pretty crazy night.
Incredible.
With the Bruins losing in Game 7, 65-win team during the regular season, and the defending champ Avalanche losing in 2 Game 7s.
I mean, those are 2 improbable series losses right there. And the NHL, I have really come down hard on the NHL since they started these new teams, the Vegas team and, of course, Seattle. Essentially the idea that they brought them in, and now Vegas in like the 3rd year, they're still in the playoffs, and now Seattle in its 2nd year already knocking off the defending champ. I just feel like they made way too many they made the draft way too nice. I'll put it that way for these teams. And you know, not the draft, but you know what I'm talking about. I can't think of the word. But they just were able to lock into a lot of really good players, and it shows already. So for a franchise that is in its 2nd year to be that competitive doesn't make any sense. Hey, Andrew singled home a run
There you go.
1-0. So there you go. He's doing what you said. Get the single, and then maybe when I get there, he'll homer. So, yeah, that's awesome. All right, Andrew, good job, buddy. I'll take it. So essentially, when I'm there, actually, he's been hitting the hell out of the ball lately. So I was going to say, when I watch it on Game Changer, he's 1 for 1. Maybe I ought to just sit here and watch and not do that. All right, my friend. Kyle, thanks, my man. Of
course.
Tomorrow we've got, what do we got?
Joey Wagner.
Oh, yeah, Joey Wagner. And maybe we'll add somebody else. We'll see as we go along. I know Thursday, Cardinal game of the day, we're not going to be here Thursday. I'm actually going to Moline to catch a little Kenny Chesney Thursday night. I'm excited about that. Anytime I can get out and see Kenny, I'm all for it. All right, let's get out of here, my friend. Thanks, Kyle. Everybody, we'll see you tomorrow. It's The Drive.
Pia's open every morning, daily at 7 a.m. You will find it all at Pia's with live video gaming, sports, food, drinks, and fun. See you at Pia's, West Springfield Avenue in Champaign. Serving food 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. and drinks until 2 a.m. daily. Pia serves up its famous 10-ounce Slugger Burger, along with great wings and so much more. You will find it all at Pia's with live video gaming, sports, food, drinks, and fun. See you at Pia's, West Springfield Avenue in Champaign.
Hi, this is Kirk Lehman, owner of Aftershock Decals and Design. We are a one-stop shop for your business needs. Whether you're just starting up or already in business, we can help you get your brand out there. We do everything from logo design or redesign, outdoor signage to banners, window and wall graphics, fleet graphics, vehicle wraps, and more. We also provide custom racing wraps and decals. If you need anything I just mentioned, you need to get a quote from me, Kirk Lehman. Just visit us at aftershockdd.com.
BMW, Buick, GMC, Honda, and Subaru. Welcome to Sarah Champagne. We can handle all your car repairs on site, including paintless dent repair, bumpers, windshields, everything in between. We have an amazing selection of new or pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Shop from home and buy online or reserve your vehicle before it hits our website or dealership. Sarah Champagne is home of the Sarah One Price Promise, delivering an honest and transparent buying experience. Hurry in or shop online at sarahchampagne.com.
Dude, I forgot prom's coming up.
I wish someone would ask me to prom.
I haven't made a promposal or anything.
Where can I get a beautiful modern dress?
I don't know where to get a tux.
Do I have time?
I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
On-Call Formals.
On-Call Formals? Is that the place behind Olive Garden?
A dress that looks terrific when I tried it on.
I had a friend order online, and when she got it, nothing fit.
On-Call Formals.
Oh great, I'm glad they can get it done on my budget.
It's not too expensive.
On-Call Formals to the rescue.
See the showroom top designer shop. Flooring surface is your first stop. Amazing selection, price, and style on hardwoods, laminates, carpet, and tile. Low prices on high fashion. Step up the flooring that gets a wow reaction. See the showroom top designer shop. Flooring surface is your first stop. Flooring surfaces your first stop.
Flooring Surfaces now offers beautiful window fashions. Our interior design team will custom fit shade, shutters, and blinds to any size opening. Visit the showroom to see the latest fashions from Graber and Hunter Douglas, or request an in-home consultation. Whether it's floors or windows, Flooring Surfaces has you covered. See us today at 401 Mercury Drive in Champaign.
See the showroom top designer shop. Flooring surfaces your first stop. Flooring surfaces your first stop.
Friday Night Lights in Farmer City has racing action. What a great scene with the campers sitting around this award-winning dirt track. Terrific family entertainment with all the details at FarmerCityRacing.com. And for the first time in history, the World of Outlaws Case Construction Equipment late models will battle it out at Farmer City Raceway in June with a newly announced Farmer City Showdown. Thursday night, June 1st, kicking off the Midwest Triple Header Weekend. The new $10,000 to win event, Thursday, June 1st, will kick off the Midwest Triple Header Weekend, joining events at Tri-City Speedway in Granite City, Illinois on Friday, June 2nd, and Paducah International Raceway in Kentucky on Saturday, June 3rd. The Illini 100 is back on Thursday, June 1st at Farmer City Raceway. Learn more at FarmerCityRaceway.com.
Scandal, division, disease, doubt.
The church has withstood each of these throughout our human history. But today, we confront all of them, all at once. Our response in this moment is pivotal. In the midst of these roaring waves, Jesus is present, reminding us that He is more powerful than the storm. He desires to heal, renew, and unify the church and the world by uniting us once again around the source and the summit of our faith in celebration of the Eucharist. Come to St. Patrick's Catholic Church in Urbana for the Eucharistic Revival through Tuesday, May 2nd. For our schedule of events, go to St. Patrick's website, stpaturbana.org, and click on News in the top menu. Again, that's stpaturbana.org, and click on News in the top menu.
Make a difference in your community and start a rewarding career when you join the Regional Planning Commission's Early Childhood Education Team. The RPC will be interviewing for open positions within the program during a hiring event on Wednesday, May 3rd at our Early Childhood Education Center at 103 South Country Fair Drive. The event runs from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Attendees are encouraged to bring resumes and references. Don't miss this hiring event for our Early Childhood Education Program, May 3rd from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at 103 South Country Fair Drive in Champaign. For details, visit ccrpc.org.
Hello from Empty Tomb. Locally, church people help others in Jesus' name with groceries, furniture, and clothes, and with rent, gas, or medical bills. Also, your historically Christian church can apply to Empty Tomb's mission match to help reduce, in Jesus' name, the number of the world's little kids under age 5 who are dying from treatable causes. See missionmatch.org. Now let's get to work.
Get ready for summer fun. Crystal Lake Park Family Aquatic Center opens Memorial Day weekend. Enjoy lap swimming, the leisure pool, climbing wall, water slides, and more. Purchase pool memberships or punch cards as you visit Crystal Lake Park Family Aquatic Center. Rent the pool for parties. Call Jennifer, 217-239-7946. Urbana Park District, welcoming you to the pool Memorial Day weekend. Learn more at urbanaparks.org.
Our Parish Eucharistic Revival, Come to the Table, There's a Place for You, will be happening to May 2nd, 2023 at St. Patrick's Catholic Church in Urbana. The speaker is Father Luke Spangangle, a member of the team of National Eucharistic Preachers, which is a part of the National Eucharistic Revival of the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. The mission of the revival is to renew the church by enkindling a living relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ in the Eucharist. For our schedule of events, go to St. Patrick's website.
Hi, I'm Skylar Pumphrey from Greenview. You want to enjoy your outdoor space, not work in it? Let our team at Greenview help you today. Prom is around the corner. Imagine the photos of the Greenview flower bed exploding with color as the background. Plant a garden in memory of Mom for Mother's Day this year. Custom fireplaces, patios, kitchens, pool decks, waterfalls, rainscapes, theme gardens, and anything else you can imagine. Make Greenview your call for all jobs, big or small. Call Greenview today at 217-586-1112. Visit greenview.com.
Looking for a way to give back to your community, learn new skills, and make a real difference? Consider volunteering with your local fire department. 7 out of 10 firefighters and emergency responders are volunteers, answering the call when their community needs them the most. Be part of a dedicated team of volunteers who step up and protect their community from all types of hazards. You can be the difference.
Call your local village office or reach out on social media. A big thanks to those who are volunteering to be a part of the fire department from Stevie J Broadcasting.
It's time for the annual Cardinal Bus Trip. Hi, it's Stevie J, inviting you to take a trip with us to St. Louis, Missouri for the day. It's July 19th. The Cardinals will be taking on the Miami Marlins, and every seat is in the suite. Yes, we'll have our private suite for Stevie J listeners and Cardinal fans. It's only $225. That includes your bus trip, of course, there and back, all the food and drink you would like, and positioned perfectly in bus parking. Walk in, up the ramp. 207 is the name of our suite. Number 207 along the first base line. Again, July 19th, it's a Cardinal-Miami game in St. Louis, Missouri. The game starts after 1 o'clock. We'll leave at 8 in the morning and be back hopefully by about 6. If you're interested in this year's trip, text in BUS 217-359-2255 for all of the information. That's 217-359-2255. Text in BUS.
Get ready for summer fun. Crystal Lake Park Family Aquatic Center opens Memorial Day weekend. Enjoy lap swimming, the leisure pool, climbing wall, water slides, and more. Purchase pool memberships or punch cards as you visit Crystal Lake Park Family Aquatic Center. Rent the pool for parties. Call Jennifer 217-239-7946. Urbana Park District welcoming you to the pool Memorial Day weekend. Learn more at urbanaparks.org.
Our Parish Eucharistic Revival, Come to the Table, There's a Place for You, will be happening to May 2nd, 2023 at St. Patrick's Catholic Church in Urbana. The speaker is Father Luke Spangangle, a member of the team of National Eucharistic Preachers, which is a part of the National Eucharistic Revival of the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. The mission of the revival is to renew the church by enkindling a living relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ in the Eucharist. For a schedule of events, go to St. Patrick's website.
Hello again, everyone. Let's check weather for Eastern Illinois, Champaign, Urbana, and vicinity. Welcome to May, and it is anything but a May feel for the next couple of days as unseasonably chilly weather continues to grip the area. Some moderation begins the middle part of the weekend. May see the tide turn to at least more seasonal temperatures and even a warm-up slated over the back end of the weekend into the weekend too, and some dry weather opportunities as well. Otherwise, a couple of showers break out as the day wears on. For the day today, that west wind could hit 40 miles per hour in open areas the day wears on. A cold high of 52. A couple of sprinkles around early on tonight, mostly cloudy, windy down to 42. Tomorrow, breezy, chilly, fair amount of cloudiness and a couple of afternoon sprinkles as well. Highs up to about 55 on a northwest wind. Clearing off, patchy frost tomorrow night, low down to 34. Sunny, milder for the day on Wednesday. Temperature still a few degrees below average though. Lighter wind, the high up to 63. Could be an isolated shower Thursday afternoon at 68. Maybe a sprinkle early on Friday, the high up near 70 and into the 70s for the weekend. For Stevie J Broadcasting, I'm meteorologist Greg Soldier.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign, Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.